All right, welcome back. If you didn't watch the last video, you're going to want to go back there because we're currently walking through 5 key terms that are different from mythology, but often confused with it. We looked at legend, we looked at folktale. Now we're going to look at fiction, history, and religion. Okay, so remember, a legend is different because though it is based on something that's true, we realize that the original tellers did not find it true when they passed it down. They knew it had been exaggerated, contrary to a myth, which was believed. Folktale, same thing. It was never believed to be true, but it was designed with these vague characters to teach us a lesson. Fiction, exactly the same thing, okay? Fiction is by nature a fabricated story written for entertainment purposes, okay? And everybody knows that the version that they're being told is completely fake or largely fictionalized, okay? So that is what fiction is. It's a story that is made up. No one who tells a myth originally thinks that the story that they're telling is made up. Okay, you got to keep that in mind. History is the flip side of that coin. Okay, history is believed to be true, like a myth. Okay, the difference is that history is verifiable and chronological, whereas mythology is not. Okay, so it's still a story that's passed down. History doesn't have to be in story form, where myth does have to be in story form. But oftentimes we find history in story form, so that would be not as obvious. But where history is very detail oriented, mythology is not. Okay, so we can't verify these stories, and they're not passed down in any kind of like chronological order at all. In fact, you read stories where you have this man who is supposed to live for a very short amount of time, but then somehow he also has like 20 children. I don't know. We can't really wrap our minds around that because it's not really the point of the myth, right? We also have the issues like most people know the story of Hercules, but there's so much debate as to like what town was Hercules actually from, because so many stories as they pass it down, they want to attribute him to their town, and so they sort of adopted him in, and so you'll find all kinds of different stories. That really wasn't the point of the story, so it didn't change the crux of the myth. But in history, that would be a big deal, right? So that's the big difference between history and mythology. Now, religion, by far, the most frequently asked question that I get is what is the difference between mythology and religion? Especially if people know me outside of my school teaching life, that they know that I'm a pastor, so this is a big part of my life, and so this gets brought up not just in school setting, like all over my life. People are always asking, like, what is the difference? How do you reconcile this? And really, it's not as controversial as sometimes people like to make it. Okay, in general, regardless of what religion you're talking about, a religion is a set of beliefs and practices associated with the worship of a god or a set of gods. That's what religion is. Okay. Active religions are still studied, they're practiced, whereas mythologies are just passed down in story form. And so, what I'll tell you is, though you will see people's religious beliefs in their myths, the myths do not set out to actually instruct you in a religious belief. It kind of be like this. If I sat down with you and I said, hey, could you tell me your life story? And you did, okay? And like 10 days later, you said, the end. I would now know a lot about you. Would I know if you have or do not have religious beliefs? 100%, right? Because it's going to come up in your story. Like if you are highly religious, I'm going to hear you telling me things about maybe the times that you go to church on a weekly basis, the prayer meetings that you attend, the things that your family does associated with your belief system. That's going to come up. Or if you don't have a strong set of religious beliefs, what am I going to notice about your story? Their absence, right? And the fact that they don't come up. So I'm going to learn a lot about your religious beliefs from your story, but I wouldn't be able to practice your religion, right? Like, let's say that I'm talking to someone who is a Christian. We'll go with that. And they have deep Christian beliefs, and they tell me about the fact that they go to church on Sunday. They tell me about the fact that they attend prayer meetings. They tell me about the fact that they go to church camp. All these things come up. I now know all these little things about how the religion is being played out in their life. But do I have any idea how I could practice that religion? No, I would just know what you do because of your religious beliefs. Myth is exactly the same way. Like, we see that maybe there are sacrifices that are made during these stories because of their religious beliefs. We see them interacting with their gods and goddesses, but we don't know like the details of why did they do these sacrifices the way that they did them. We don't get the details of how you would become a member of that religious society. We just see them practicing their religion because it was part of their life. And remember, mythology reflects life. It's a cultural story. All right, have a great day, guys. Make wise decisions. Merry Christmas.